Hey everyone, how's it going? First video today. I wanted to start us off with a story. This is a story that's stuck with me for the past few years, back in 2021, COVID, when I was struggling with porn and masturbation, um, and just my nofap journey at the time. This story really resonated with me, and it helped me push through the hard times and recover from my addiction. So I got through it uh, partly because of this story, and I think this can definitely help you to get more motivation and to just wake you up inside to reality. So the story goes: once upon a time, there was a small village, and there was a young boy in the village. Now, as this boy was very young, the village people saw a lot of potential in him. He was smart. He was brave. He was strong. For a young boy, he knew things a lot of other kids didn't. He had a strong drive at a young age. His dream was to become a warrior. So, as this boy grew up, he started training with the village elders, with the soldiers, the warriors in his village. He grew up amongst them, so he learned skills. He learned how to fight. He was training every single day, learning, growing, and becoming the man he was supposed to be. So every day he'd go through his day with a sense of purpose. He knew what he wanted to become. He knew his purpose was to become a warrior. He knew if anything happened in the village, he was going to be their protector. And as he grew up, as he went through his teens, through his later teens, the village looked up to him as a role model. So he would walk through every morning. He would walk through the village to his training camp in the village. And as he'd walk, everyone would look at him, everyone would say hi. All the girls in the village would smile at him, and he would smile back and wave. He held his head high, shoulders back. He knew his sense of purpose. He knew what he had to do. So that went on, and then he would come home from training after 6-7 hours of training. He would come home and he would sharpen his swords. And then he'd rest, get a good night's sleep, and repeat the same process. Every day, he was committed to his purpose. He knew what he had to do. So one day, a spirit appeared to him. A spirit appeared to him in his room as he was sharpening his swords one day. And the spirit said to him, "Look into me. I can show you anything you want." And suddenly, the boy was a bit confused. The young man was a bit confused because he was focused on what he needed to achieve. He needed to go to training that day. And he didn't really have time to waste looking at this spirit that he knew nothing about. He asked the spirit, "What are you doing here?" And the spirit said to him, "I am here to help you. I want to help you succeed. Tell me anything and I will show you." So naturally the boy was a bit intrigued, confused, as he would be. So he asks the spirit, "Show me the greatest warriors fighting in battle." And so the spirit does as he commands. The spirit shows him great warriors fighting in battle. The boy looked in awe because he'd seen nothing like that ever before. Dopamine surged through his brain. Naturally, the boy had never grown up with any technology like that. He had his dreams, his aspirations, what he saw through his own mind, what he visioned, but he'd never been able to see anything like that. So the boy watched the fight, and after a minute or two, he said to the spirit, "That's enough." Still, the boy was a bit confused. What am I going to do with this spirit? The spirit said to him, "I will remain in the corner of the room until you call on me again." The boy thought nothing of it. So he said, "Okay." And the boy got on with his day. But after some time, days went on, the weeks went on. The boy spent more and more time looking through the spirit. He was watching battles of his favorite soldiers, and he started looking at girls as well. He was asking the spirit to see beautiful girls. And you can imagine what led to that next. But as this went on, he grew less focused on his training. His energy was spent after training hours looking through the spirit, watching the spirit. And his focus went from sharpening his swords after training, preparing for the next day, to watching his favorite scenes through the spirit. And so a few months go by. He's spending less and less time training every day. He's spending hours a day looking through the spirit now. And so as he's walking through the village every day, walking to his training camp, he spends less time noticing the girls because he's used to seeing more beautiful girls. So the girls in his village were boring to him now. So he stopped smiling and waving to them. He stopped saying hi to people in the village. Now his head was facing down. Shoulders were rounded. He didn't have the same gaze, the same energy, the same spirit that his body once carried, walking through the village. He didn't have the same drive, the same motivation that he once did. This spirit had destroyed him. He had now sacrificed pain for pleasure, and it was showing. So this went on for several years. Now the boy was 30 years old. The boy had lost most of his training skills. He was only really training 1 to 2 hours a day, if that. He had no motivation, no drive left. He was physically out of shape. The boy had pretty much wasted 10 years of his life at this point, while all his other friends at the time had got married, had jobs, had had a purpose in the village. Now the boy that was meant to be the village warrior was sitting at home watching the spirit all day, watching his favorite videos, watching mindless videos, watching girls. How sad. One day, suddenly the spirit spoke after it had never really spoken for 10 years. It said to the man, "My mission is done here. I have destroyed you." The prophecy forestated that you were meant to protect the village. You were meant to be a great warrior that saved this village from the enemies. But now the man was too weak to do anything. He just sat in awe, because that's all he could do. He had no motivation to get up. He was too lazy to do anything, too physically weak. All he could do was sit in awe and just accept his fate. And that's what happened. The village was attacked, and they had lost everything. So what I want you to take from this story is the realization that our destiny, our potential is so much more than we can imagine. We have so much more inside of us to give to the world than what we think. Obviously, the boy never thought the village would be attacked. He wasn't prepared. The boy never thought all those years that he would be the one that was destined to protect the village. If he knew, then maybe he would have thought twice about all the hours he spent looking through the spirit rather than putting time into training. But that's the problem. He didn't know. And it hurt him in the end. It hurt the whole village. He could have saved his entire village, all the people he loved, all the people he knew. He could have been the hero. But he decided to sacrifice pain for pleasure. It was too hard getting up every day and training, putting in all those hours training. Why would he when he could just sit at home and watch the spirit and get endless dopamine and pleasure? This is the exact same thing we see happening in the world today. So many men choose pleasure over what they're supposed to be doing, sacrificing for their future self. And this is a sad scenario of a lot of men's lives. They could have saved people if they were doing the right thing. So it's time to wake up. It's time to start doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's time to start working hard. It's time to start training every day, getting a routine in place. This story should ignite such a burning fire inside of you. You should be feeling sick and ashamed of that story. Wasted potential. Wasted potential. Don't let it be you. I apologize if I was a bit nervous talking on camera. My first ever video, so very inexperienced, but only better from here. I'll check in with you on the next one. Thank you.